Good afternoon, tutor and classmates. My name is Adriana Muñoz Polania, and the article that I have chosen to develop this task number 3 is called The Techniques in Teaching Listening Skill. In this article, the author takes the ability to listen as the most important skill because it is the basis for language acquisition, through which students learn vocabulary and can then use production skills such as speaking and writing. However, it also exposed the fact that learning or developing the ability to listen is a very difficult task because there are no parameters or grammar rules to teach it or put it into practice. In other words, learning to listen is a process which requires only constant and precise practice. Now, to tools such as tape, cassette, television, and VCD or DVD are used to develop listening skills. Similarly, the article presents, proposes, tests, and analyzes 6 useful teaching techniques within the classroom to acquire and improve listening, such as information transfer, paraphrasing and translating, answering questions, summarizing, filling in blanks, and answering to show comprehension of messages. All this research takes place in the secondary school called MAN3, Benjamisen in Indonesia, specifically in the 10th grade, with a sample composed of 1 teacher and 48 students, with which 24 are men and 24 are women in the year academic 2009 and 2010. The entire text is composed by the implementation and understanding of the 6 techniques named, as well as the analysis of the results obtained in order to find what is the best technique to learn to listen in English. So, I'm going to read the 6 techniques that were covered in the research. The number 1 is information transfer. To apply this technique, the English teacher used 6 pictures as a media. The number 2, paraphrasing and translating. This technique included imposed listening activities where students rewrite the listening text in different words using their own words. Then, teacher asks students to read their writing and checked whether it was sayable or not to the dialogue they had listened. Number 3, answering questions. This technique included in post-listening activities where students answered 5 questions based on the dialogues they had listened from the cassette and then correct together in class to know the right answer. Number 4, summarizing. This technique included in post-listening activities where students were given several possible summary sentences and asked to say which of them fit a correct text. In other words, teacher asked the students retell the dialogue based on their own words after they listened to the dialogue on the cassette. Excuse me. The number 5, filling in blanks. This technique included in while listening activities where students were given the transcript or a passage or a dialogue with some words missing and must fill in the blanks while listening. And finally, number 6, answering to show comprehension of messages. This technique including in post-listening activities where teacher asked the students to give tick or cross to indicate which was the correct answer from the 4 choices, A, B, C, D, for the questions about monologues they had listening from the cassette. There were 10 questions that should be answered by the students. After applying and obtaining the data, and results of the research, it was possible to conclude several things. Among them, that the best technique to learn to listen is the information transfer. Because not only the listening is the use, but there is also a support visual that helps to understand the meaning of what is heard. While the other techniques, although the students also obtain a good score and always stayed at a very high and average level or category, it should be noted that those were not totally successful because the students still have little vocabulary to complete or produce a response by themselves and without any other help, as well as lacking a good level in terms of their ability to listen, which concludes that it is necessary to practice listening skill even more. It is possible to identify and determine the qualitative methodology used in this research or article because certain features or characteristics of this method are clearly excited exhibit, such as using observation, interviewing, and documentaries as techniques for data collection. In addition, in the analysis of data, it can be observed and inferred that this research is of an exploratory, inductive, and descriptive type. So, I stress again that it is indeed qualitative research for these characteristics. Personally, I do believe that the ability to listen is fundamental and at the same time difficult to acquire. Most of the time, communication between people takes place verbally, so listening and speaking are the skills most used in communication, and through which it is possible to acquire more vocabulary. As for my short experience as a teacher in my current pedagogical experience number 2 course, developing virtual meetings of the speaking, I could tell that my students in the exercise where I asked them questions in English about their information or personal life or based on a text, it was difficult for them to understand and even more to answer those questions. Likewise, with regard to the dictations or to understand in general the instruction that I gave them, it was also a difficult aspect for them to understand what I was saying, since they did not understand the grammar, structure, and pronunciation of the sentences. In other words, they knew the word in a visual way, but the pronunciation of the same word did not know it. Finally, to say that elements such as image, video, or gestures when presenting an audio or putting listening into practice are strong and magnificent to improve the understanding of the audios, because in a certain way the student can compare and deduce what they are listening. In other words, these elements represent a great help to develop the ability or skill to listening. Thank you very much. See you later in other occasion. Bye bye.